Why ordinary people accepted Confucianism. The final piece of the puzzle. For over 2,000 years, Confucianism shaped Chinese civilization. It influenced governments, it guided education, it defined family life, and it left a lasting mark on one of the world's oldest continuous civilizations. But this raises a fascinating question. How did one philosophy survive for so long? In our previous episodes, we explored two important parts of the answer. We saw why rulers embraced Confucianism. For emperors, it provided a framework for governing a vast empire. It promoted order, hierarchy, and stability. We also saw why scholar officials devoted themselves to Confucian teachings. For educated elites, Confucianism offered status, prestige, and a pathway into government service. But there is still one piece of the puzzle missing. Perhaps the most important piece of all. The ordinary people. Because no philosophy can survive for centuries if it exists only in royal palaces and government offices. No matter how powerful an emperor may be, or how influential scholars may become, a belief system cannot shape a civilization unless it reaches everyday life. So why did millions of farmers, merchants, craftsmen, and ordinary families accept Confucian values? The answer is more complicated than many people imagine, and it begins with a common misunderstanding. Many people assume that Confucianism survived because the government forced people to follow it. Certainly, imperial governments promoted Confucian teachings. Schools taught Confucian classics. Officials were selected through Confucian examinations. State ceremonies reflected Confucian ideals. But government support alone cannot explain 2,000 years of influence. History provides many examples of ideas imposed from above that disappeared once political support vanished. Confucianism was different. It became deeply rooted in daily life. To understand why, we need to step into the world of ordinary people. And the first place to look is the family. For most people in traditional China, life revolved around family. Not politics, not philosophy, not even the state. Family. Several generations often lived together. Parents depended on children in old age. Family property was shared. Family reputation mattered. And survival often depended on cooperation within the household. This created challenges. How should younger generations treat older ones? How should parents raise children? How should brothers share responsibilities? How should families resolve conflict? Confucianism offered answers. It emphasized filial piety, respect for parents, responsibility toward family members, care for elders, and obligations between generations. Today, some people view these ideas simply as moral teachings. But for ordinary families, they were also practical solutions. A household divided by conflict could quickly fall into hardship. A family that worked together had a far better chance of surviving and prospering. In this sense, Confucianism was not merely a philosophy. It was a guide for managing daily life. And because family was the foundation of society, Confucian values naturally spread from one generation to the next. But family alone cannot explain Confucianism's influence. Its impact extended beyond the household. It also helped shape relationships within the broader community. To understand this, we must remember that traditional China was very different from the modern world. There were no nationwide police forces monitoring every village, no modern courts handling every dispute, no digital records, no credit scores, no formal systems governing every interaction. Much of society depended on trust. Neighbors traded with neighbors. Families borrowed from one another. Communities organized local projects. Village leaders mediated disputes. Everyday life required cooperation. Confucianism helped create a common set of expectations. Values such as honesty, duty, trustworthiness, and proper conduct encouraged people to think about their responsibilities toward others. Did everyone follow these ideals perfectly? Of course not. No society has ever achieved perfect moral behavior, but the ideals themselves mattered. They provided a shared framework, a common language for discussing right and wrong, a standard against which behavior could be judged. For ordinary people, this made social life more predictable. And when people can predict how others are expected to behave, trust becomes easier to build. In many ways, Confucianism helped lower the social costs of cooperation, and that made it valuable far beyond government institutions. Yet family and community still do not fully explain Confucianism's appeal. There was another reason, perhaps the most powerful reason of all: hope. Today, when people think about Confucianism, they often focus on hierarchy, authority, obedience, tradition. But there was another side to the story. Confucianism placed enormous importance on learning. Education was not simply a personal accomplishment. It was a path toward self-improvement, a path toward respect, and sometimes a path toward changing one's family's future. For ordinary people, this idea was revolutionary. In many societies throughout history, social status was largely determined by birth. If you were born into a poor family, your future was often fixed. But Confucian traditions emphasized the value of study and moral cultivation. Over time, this became connected to China's examination system. Success in examinations could open the door to government service. For generations, families invested extraordinary effort in education. Parents sacrificed savings. Children spent years studying. Entire families supported a single student's dream. The vast majority would never become high officials. Many would never pass the most difficult examinations. Yet the possibility mattered. The dream mattered. The belief that learning could improve one's future became deeply embedded in Chinese society. And that belief gave Confucianism something few philosophies ever achieve. It gave ordinary people a personal stake in its success. There was also another advantage. Unlike many religions and ideologies throughout history, Confucianism rarely demanded exclusive loyalty. An ordinary Chinese villager could respect Confucian values, honor ancestors, visit Buddhist temples, and seek guidance from Taoist traditions. These practices often coexisted. Confucianism focused primarily on how people should behave in this world, how they should treat family, how they should interact with society, how they should fulfill their responsibilities. Because it did not necessarily compete with every other belief system, it could easily become part of everyday life. And this flexibility helped it spread across different regions, social classes, and historical periods. By this point, the final piece of the puzzle begins to fall into place. In the first episode, we saw why rulers accepted Confucianism. In the second, we explored why scholar officials embraced it. And now we can see why ordinary people found value in it as well. Confucianism offered order for families, trust for communities, hope through education, and practical guidance for everyday life. As a result, it reached every level of society. The rulers used it. The scholar officials studied it. And ordinary people lived by many of its values. When all three levels of society embraced the same framework, Confucianism became extraordinarily resilient. For centuries, it shaped how people governed, learned, worked, married, raised children, and understood their place in the world. This helps explain why Confucianism became one of the most influential traditions in human history. But history rarely follows a straight path. And here we encounter a remarkable twist. A philosophy supported by rulers, embraced by intellectuals, and accepted by ordinary people should have been unstoppable. Yet it wasn't. Over the centuries, Confucianism faced challenge after challenge. Powerful new religions, foreign conquerors, the collapse of dynasties, modern revolutions, and fierce attacks from China's own intellectuals. More than once, its future seemed uncertain. At times it appeared that Confucianism might disappear altogether. Yet somehow, it survived. Again, and again, and again. Why? What allowed Confucianism to endure when so many other belief systems faded into history? That is the story we will begin exploring in our next episode. Want to understand China from the inside? Follow, subscribe, and share. New videos every week on Chinese history, culture, and wisdom.